Ma Young-han was trying to give his son an important part of Eugene Construction's future, and that was how he showed his thanks. I am going to join the boss's group. What? Join his boss's group? That boy deserves it, he said with a laugh. If Jinhyo wanted to be on his own, he would have to do it with his own effort. Chairman Yu wanted his son to understand that every choice has a result. Was he upset? He was struggling with his tie. The more he pulled at it, the more tangled it became. Finally his wife offered to help. Let me do it for you. She quickly fixed his tie. Ma Young-han carefully let his wife hold the tie. She laughed as she held the loose fabric. Why are you laughing? He asked, wondering what was so funny. She had been tying and untying his tie for him, for many years. After all this time, there wasn't a reason to laugh about a messy tie. Are you sure you're upset with Jinho? She asked. He didn't understand what she meant. That didn't make sense. Chairman Yu looked at himself in the mirror. Strange. He was surprised by what he saw. Why did he look happy even though he was just complaining? Feeling embarrassed. Ma Young-han rubbed his face. Was today the first time? First time for what? The first time someone disagreed with you. That was why Yu was upset. Just like water flows downhill. Things in a company and a family were usually decided by the person in charge. He ran his family much like he ran his business, and he didn't let anyone disagree with him. Today had made him mad, but strangely, he wasn't really upset. He wondered why he didn't feel the way he thought he should. He couldn't understand his own emotions. His wife knew how he thought and spoke to him gently, like she would to a young child. This is the first time Jinhyo is trying to do something he wants to do. Why don't you encourage him instead of making fun of him? Ma Young-han didn't say anything. It was difficult for him to understand his own feelings. I will watch him for now, of course. His wife smiled and took the jacket he offered her. That is when Ma Young-han looked at his wife's face. This is odd. What is odd? It looks like there are two of your faces. What? Her eyes grew wide, and Ma Young-han stumbled, losing his balance. Dear, she quickly went to help him. He shook his head, trying to think clearly and breathing deeply. He breathed heavily and his wife looked worried. Why was he sweating so much? Chairman Yu tried to stay awake by keeping his eyes open, but he finally fell asleep. Chairman Yu woke up in a special room at the best hospital in Korea. One of the doctors who had been watching him constantly rushed into the room to see how he was doing. And how are you feeling? Chairman Yu. After looking around the room, Chairman Yu figured out what had happened. How long have I been here? You've been asleep for 2 full days. 2 days. He was known for working very hard. Even when he was tired, he never slept for more than 5 hours. He didn't say anything for a while, but then acted like it wasn't a big deal. I think I was just really tired. He had been very busy recently, so he thought feeling dizzy and tired was because of how he was living. The doctor looked worried, and that made Mr. Harrison feel uneasy. As the leader of a big company with many workers, he was good at understanding what people were thinking. He noticed the doctor's serious face and asked, "Did you discover something wrong? Do you spend a lot of time with people who hunt or others with special powers?" That was a very unusual question. Ma Young-han asked if something was wrong, so why was the doctor mentioning hunters? Yu asked what the doctor meant. What did hunters have to do with anything? The doctor asked if Yu had heard of the eternal sleep disease. Chairman Yu, who had been calm, finally looked worried and his eyes moved quickly. The eternal sleep disease. A very unusual sleep illness was spreading. People who caught it couldn't wake up, and their bodies became weaker very quickly. They needed special machines powered by magic to help them stay alive. Doctors first noticed the illness after strange gates started appearing in different places. It was a terrible sickness that had sadly caused the deaths of many people who did not have enough money for a machine that could help them breathe. It's an illness where people first feel very sleepy but then become unable to wake up. The doctor looked worried and upset. No one had ever woken up from this condition. Even though it could keep people alive longer, they were still unconscious. To be honest, it was like a final illness. Ma Young-han waited for the doctor to finish speaking before saying anything. So what do hunters have to do with this? Many people think there's a link between eternal sleep disease and magic. Some people are born with a harder time handling magic. These people were more likely to get eternal sleep disease, especially if they were around magic for a long time. Didn't you say the machines that keep people alive use magic? Yes, but the doctor explained that like energy from atoms, While magic itself could be dangerous, what it created wasn't harmful. You need to be careful around special stones, magic gems, and people who have magical abilities. People with magical abilities, Chairman Yu remembered Jinyo, the only person in his family who had awakened these powers. The doctor spoke carefully. Isn't your youngest son a hunter, Chairman Yu? You looked serious when Jinyo's name was mentioned. So you're telling me to stay away from my own son? Well, if you can, that's silly. Myung-kan quickly stopped him. That doesn't make sense. He waved his hand, telling the doctor to leave the room. Chairman Yu. The doctor paused, not sure what to do, but quickly left when Myung-kan gave him a stern look. Myung-kan was very angry, as he stared at the door. Stay away from my own son, if I don't want to feel worse. Who would say that to a dad? Even if it was true, what would Jinho think, if he heard it? Myung-kan didn't want to worry his son with that. Also, more and more people were starting to use magic, and the number of people who could do magic was growing bigger and bigger. People who didn't accept magic were being forced to leave this world. He laughed a little. Force him, Myung-han Yu. He wouldn't allow that. He wouldn't be defeated. He had already done so many things, others said, couldn't be done. When he took over Eugene Construction, it was a small company, but he built it into the biggest one in Korea. He wouldn't give up because of this illness. He would win. Myung-han kept telling himself this over and over. Jinwoo slowly opened the door to Gina's room. It was early morning, and she was sleeping very soundly. She wouldn't have woken up even if someone had moved her. He suddenly felt worried. While he was gone, people might try to bother Gina. No one would dare hurt the sister of a powerful hunter, but you never knew what people might do. He needed a way to be safe. Wait, now that he thought about it, his soldiers could hide in the shadows, right? He remembered using his shadow soldiers to watch the neighborhood and look for a dangerous criminal who was causing trouble. The soldiers were good at moving without being seen, staying hidden in the dark. He thought they could help protect his sister in the same way, without anyone knowing. He knew exactly who would be best for the job. Come here. Jinwoo called for the shadow soldiers who used to guard Fang. They appeared quickly. These 3 shadow soldiers were very strong, even for high orcs. So his sister's room suddenly felt very small with them inside. Wait, what was that? Why were there only 3? He was sure there had been 4 guards. Then Jinwoo remembered. Oh, he had forgotten to collect the shadow of the guard he had knocked into the ceiling. I need to be more careful next time, he thought. He smiled as he looked at the 3 shadow soldiers. These orcs were very powerful, much stronger than most orc warriors. This group of 3 could easily defeat even a skilled hunter with an A ranking. This wasn't just a feeling. Cahoon, the leader of the hunter team, used to be an A rank hunter himself, but he struggled when fighting just 3 regular high orc warriors. These 3 were strong enough to defend themselves. Jinwoo nodded toward Gina. As he did, the guards quickly changed into shadows and moved to join with Gina's shadow. That was exactly what he wanted. He told them to stay hidden and to protect her if anyone tried to harm her. After telling the guards what to do, Jinwoo left the room and quietly closed the door. He felt much better now. His heart felt lighter. Jinwoo locked the door behind him and went downstairs to the front of the building to meet Jinyo, just like they planned. Boss, Jinyo said happily, as he always did. Did you sleep well? Yes, I did. The motels now are pretty good. With Gina at home, Jinwoo had put Gino up in a motel close by. Luckily, Gino didn't seem to mind at all. You'll only be there until I find an office for the guild. Yes, boss. Gino kept smiling in a strange way. Jinwoo had heard what happened from Gino yesterday. Jinwoo hadn't expected Gino to give up being guild master to come help him. When Jinwoo seemed surprised, Jinyo felt upset. Why would you ask me to do that? You were the one who asked me to help you, sir. Jinwoo didn't want to say anything mean about someone who had turned down a big job just because he liked Jinwoo. Let's go. Yes, sir. Jinhyo went to the driver's seat, and Jinwoo sat in the front seat next to him. The van drove toward Dasung Tower. Jinhyo kept looking at Jinwoo. He wondered why Jinwoo needed to go to Dasung Tower so early. He really wanted to ask, but Jinwoo didn't like being asked a lot of questions, so Jinhyo stayed quiet. The van stopped in front of the tower. Jinhyo finally felt brave enough to speak. Boss, why are we? I'll be right back. What? Jinhyo turned quickly to look at the passenger seat. but all he saw was the open van door. Jinwoo was already gone. Jinho felt like this had happened before. He rubbed the back of his neck. He always came and went so quickly. You have entered the demon's castle dungeon. Jinwoo turned off his skill that made him hidden. He was happy to be back in a place where he could fight as much as he wanted. As soon as he went through the castle gate, a sound rang out. A new task had arrived. Unlike his first time visiting, he wasn't surprised this time. He had received a task to collect demon souls before, so he knew another part of the task would come eventually. Jinwoo opened the message. A new task appeared. Collect demon souls. The demon king Balan lives on the top floor of the demon's castle. Beat Balan and take his power. Great prizes are waiting if you can do it. To start this quest, you must first finish the quest called Collect Demon Souls. You also need to go back inside the demon's castle. To finish the quest, you must defeat the demon monarch. You will receive these rewards if you win. 1. A very powerful rune stone. 2. 30 more ability points. 3. Surprise reward. The point of this quest is to beat the demon monarch. Jinwoo smiled brightly. He could go directly to the highest level without needing to return to a lower one. Plus the rewards were really good too. The last challenge had been very hard work, requiring him to gather 10,000 demon souls, and he'd only received 20 points for all that effort. But this time, the system was going to give him 30 points just for defeating one demon boss. Usually it would have taken him 10 tasks or 6 levels to get that many rewards, so this surprise made him smile. But what is this special stone? Jinwoo chose the first reward. A message appeared. Special stone shadow exchange. When you break the stone, you might learn a skill only people with his job can use. Could he learn a new skill? Jinwoo's eyes widened with excitement. He had learned 3 special skills from his job so far: shadow extraction, shadow storage, and monarch's domain. They were all amazing, so he was really excited to learn another one. What would it be this time? Jinwoo tried to find out more, but the system only showed him the name of the new skill. Jinwoo frowned slightly. He would find out more after finishing the task. A special skill and 30 extra points were great rewards, even without knowing what else he might get. He wanted to rush to the highest level right away. But before he started, he checked his status screen. A message popped up. Name Jinwoo Sun Class. Shadow Monarch HP 24. 4-6 Fatigue 0. Level 80 Title The One Who Overcame Adversity. And 1 other MP 5. 119 Stats Strength. 18-6 Stamina 14-5 Agility 17-5. Intelligence 18-9 Perception. 12-6 Available Ability Points 0 Physical Damage reduced by 46% Skills Passive Skill. Unknown Lee. Max Willpower LV. 1 Advanced Dagger Wielding LV. 2 Active Skill Dash LV. Max Fatal Strike LV. Max Murderous Intent LV. 2 Stealth LV. 2 Stealth LV. 2 Ruler's Hand Lee. 2 Job Exclusive Skills. Active Skill Shadow Extraction LV. 1 Shadow Storage LV. 1 Monarch's Domain LV. Furtcraft Consumable Elixir of Life 2. 3 Item Equipped Crimson Knight's Helmets Demon Monarchs Earrings S. Demon Monarch's Necklace S. High Rank Knight's Chestplate B. High Rank Knight's Gauntlets B. High Rank Knight's Gauntlets B. High Rank Mage's Ring B. Mid-Rank Assassin's Boots. His level had gone up to 80, and he had been using his ability points to increase his intelligence. So now his intelligence was higher than his strength. His intelligence was almost 200. Because of this, he had over 5,000 mana points. Jinwoo's special ability mostly helped him bring his shadow soldiers back to life again and again. He worried that 5,000 soldiers might not be enough as the number he needed kept growing. Okay, time to begin. Every moment he wasn't fighting felt like wasted time. Jinwoo closed the screen showing his abilities. He was on the first floor of the demon's castle, but he had already completed all the floors up to the 76th. He walked directly to the magic teleportation circle. A message appeared saying the first through 76 floors were open and asked where he wanted to go. Jinwoo decided quickly. 76. Lights blinked, and everything changed. He now saw a city covered in flames. Even though a magical circle kept him safe, it felt incredibly hot. Jinwoo set down the bag he carried, and took out 2 special objects. He had a black cloak called the Robe of Wind, made by a skilled creator. He also had a ring without a name that held the power of water. He put both of them on. When he pulled up the hood of the cloak, he felt like a real mage hunter. It was getting cooler. The robe made Jinwoo feel like he was standing inside a cold cave. Would it protect him from the fire in the demon's castle? He carefully stepped out of the magic circle that had brought him here. Was the robe worth the cost he had paid for it? The heat didn't bother him this time. Could he move easily with this on? He tested it out, and discovered the robe was actually quite comfortable. The robe of wind felt very light. Good. He was prepared, but he wasn't alone. Demons smelled a person and started coming closer in groups. Before he would have fought them all as practice or hunted every single one to become stronger. But not now. This was about getting help for his mother, and he didn't want to waste any time. Instead of calling for his weapons, Jinwoo called his soldiers. They quickly appeared beside him. But where was Fang? Jinwoo looked around for him. Because Fang was a stronger soldier, he appeared close by right behind Jinwoo. He took a special item, the Sphere of Avarice, and gave it to Fang. You can use this today. Even though Jinwoo wasn't a magic user, he hoped it would help Fang with his spells. Fang bowed to show how thankful he was. Soon huge demons came into sight. Let's begin, Jinwoo said. He held his daggers, Barca's dagger and Night Killer, tightly and told his soldiers to get ready to fight. Many monsters rushed toward Jinwoo, but he had a lot of helpers too. Jinwoo looked much calmer than before, as he waited for the perfect time. Then he shouted, "Go!" He wanted to say move out, but before he could finish, whoosh, a huge burst of fire flew over his head, and hit the monsters, spreading across them. What was that? Whoosh! The flames burned everything they touched, whether it was a monster or the ground. The monsters made terrible sounds, and quickly disappeared. Jinwoo heard a familiar electronic beep. You have leveled up. You have leveled up. He couldn't believe it. He looked around, trying to calm his racing heart. Fang was much bigger now, twice his original size, and gray smoke came from his mouth. Jinwoo gulped. Was this the power of the Sphere of Avarice? These demons should have been able to resist fire, since they lived in the demon's castle, but Fang had burned them all up. He couldn't help but laugh as he looked around. It seemed he would be able to finish this place faster than he expected. He cheered to himself as he looked at the burned ground, and the remains of the demons. With the help of the Sphere of Avarice, Fang was very powerful. Fang took a deep breath, and the air around him got cold for a moment. Then he breathed out fire everywhere, turning the enemies to ash. You have defeated a strong demon. You have earned 700 experience points. You have defeated a very strong demon. You have earned 200 experience points. You have defeated a strong demon. Messages about defeated enemies and earned experience points kept appearing. The electronic bells kept ringing. Jinwoo smiled. This was amazing. Fang finally ran out of energy and stopped fighting. With one powerful hit, Fang destroyed most of the demons coming toward them, but a few were still able to get away. His other shadow soldiers finished dealing with anyone who was still fighting. Stomp, 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 stomp. He finally felt like a true shadow monarch as he watched his army of over 100 shadow soldiers battle. Messages appeared. You defeated a powerful demon. You defeated a powerful demon. More good news kept coming. Jinwoo defeated all the monsters using his shadow soldiers without even moving. Fang helped the most, of course. Good job, Fang. Jinwoo looked up. Fang, who used to be a powerful orc shaman, and was now a shadow mage, was very large. The special ball he held, called the Sphere of Avarice, had also grown much bigger along with him. The sphere was meant to make a person's magical power twice as strong. Just by holding it, even though Fang wasn't as powerful after Jinwoo made him a shadow soldier, the sphere helped make up for that loss. Jinwoo decided to let Fang keep the sphere for a while. Jinwoo didn't have any abilities that could actually use the sphere's special power anyway. Jinwoo checked his skill list. It showed he had collected 107 shadows out of a possible 820. He could store 12 shadows with space for 15 His skills Shadow Extraction, Shadow Storage, and Monarch's Domain weren't helped by the special item he found. Right now, the only way to collect and store more shadows was to increase his intelligence. Jinwoo closed the list. He heard footsteps approaching. After the battle, soldiers came around Jinwoo. Jinwoo smiled as he looked at all the defeated demon bodies. There were so many demons and lots of valuable items. Notifications popped up quickly, telling him what he had collected. He knew he should take everything he could find. Happily, Jinwoo accepted all the items and climbed onto Tank, his Ice Bear shadow soldier. He still hadn't found the key to get to the next level, so he needed to defeat more monsters. Jinwoo told everyone to keep going. Let's go. As Tank moved forward, his shadow soldiers followed behind. This wasn't a very good use of time or energy. Jinwoo thought. It seemed like a waste to have all 120 shadow soldiers moving together as one group. Having many soldiers helped if they weren't very strong, but these soldiers had become much better, and were doing well in battles against the demons. Also, there were now very powerful magical beasts from a dangerous place that they needed to watch out for. His army was incredibly skilled. The beasts made loud cries. Messages appeared showing that high-level demons had been defeated. However, because the army was so large, it took a while to get everything organized, and find the monsters compared to how quickly they could win the fights.